right, whatever. Cool. Everybody, it's all good. Thanks for coming to the show. This is the Select Few Sessions. I'm Troy Track Select, and this is Kristen Bales. Everybody give it up real quick. We're going to let her do her thing. If I can just get you set.
Thank you. I moved out to the West Coast, took a bow from a tightrope to forget how your eyes looked back in mine. I was walking a thin line, took it so, but I'm alright. Finally sleeping through the night. Yeah, I'll be fine. No more memories to make, no more smiles to give or fake. No, I don't even need a goodbye. Who said I needed you like you needed me to? They say it's give or take, but you always take the truth. And I tell you how I feel, but you never make a move. Oh, honey, you're old news, and I'm moving on from you. I broke glass when you called me, felt the heat from the ashes, tried to lean on an old flame, but there's no time. No, you can't lean on me anymore. I've closed all of the screen doors, took a ship to forget yours. Yeah, I'll be fine. No more glimmer from your eye, no more talking late at night. No, don't try to tell me goodbye. Who said I needed you like you needed me to? They say it's give or take, but you always take the truth. And I tell you how I feel, but you never make a move. Oh, honey, you're old news, and I'm moving on from you. Who said I needed you like you needed me to? They say it's give or take, but you always take the truth. And I tell you how I feel, but you never make a move. Oh, honey, you're old news, and I'm moving on from you. Oh, honey, you're old news, and I'm moving on from you. Thank you. All right. This next song is called Thinking About You. I wrote it when I was thinking about somebody. I'll still be thinking about you, waiting for the tide to change. Still be thinking about you, wishing all my blues away. Wasting all my time away. I'll be thinking about you, wishing all my blues away. I'll be thinking about you, ready for the clock to stay. Still be thinking about you, ready to escape the day. I can't lie, I was looking for an excuse, waiting there for you to be there. But until then, I'll be thinking about you. I'll be thinking about you. I'll be thinking about you. Thank you. I'm going to switch guitars, but I want to get a drink of water first. Thank you all for coming tonight. Oh yeah, we did. It was so good. I had the vegetable stew. Oh my gosh, Pepper. What kind of dog do you have? Steak dog? Question mark? Okay. Really quick, I'll introduce my band. This is Marshall Bales on drums. Yeah. This is Isaac Vining on keys. And Mr. Jonah Lane on bass. I've had the privilege of playing with these guys, Isaac, for almost a decade. I think we might be over a decade at this point. And then Marshall, we're at like 8 years now. So we're getting there. This next song is a love song. It's called End to Forever. I knew what I wanted and saw what I didn't and waited for more. And I believed I was patient and careful, but course I turned back the hours of all of the minutes. If I knew what I was in for, oh, if time could be bought, I'd save up to afford all of the days and buy back the time so I could find the end to forever with you. Don't wanna wait for the perfect time and place to say I love you. I do. I do. And if I could look past my past and just pass along through, I'd skip the adventure to settle in those sweet baby blues. And if I could count all the days from now and those few, I'd draw up a map and find that DeLorean and travel back and get you. Or if I could trade in my baggage and take all of the heartache so my heart would only ache to find the end to forever with you. Oh, never to lose. I'd always pick you. The sweetest of all my happy dreams comes true. Yeah, I find the end to forever All right, we're going to bring it down a little bit. Just a bit. This is a song about dreams, but it's not the song you think that it would be about dreams. It's a song that I wrote about dreams. It's not that song. It's my song. Get your own song. This is a song for all the daydreamers out there, and I wrote it as an encouragement to myself and then found that it might be encouraging for other people too. So, this is for anyone who's ever had a dream. just who you were made to be. Thank you. All right, this guy's going away. So, this next song I wrote during COVID, and it didn't come to life with the band until this past year. We recorded it, and I really love the direction it went in. Tonight is going to be a much more condensed version of what you hear eventually on the record, but I love the song. It's called Slow Motion. It's just a sweet little love song that I wrote in a time where I felt like I didn't have much else to do other than sit at home and write about love. Brain was like, not today, not today. You're not gonna remember. I bet I'm gonna remember it as soon as I pull it up. Jonah Lane, everybody. Tell me what I've been feeling is wrong. See, I keep these emotions on this sleeve, and I can be so soft, but you take away my inhibition, making me feel what I've been missing for so long, so long. And I was wishing you'd be forgiven what crimes I've committed and lives I've lived for so long, so long. I am falling in slow motion, can't keep me from going, 'cause to fall in all is to fall in love with you. excited, and you were there in front of me all along. And you take away my inhibitions, making me feel what I've been missing for so long, so long. I'm falling in slow motion, can't keep me from going. Falling in slow motion, can't keep me from going. 'Cause to fall it all is to fall in love with you. This is the moment that you've been waiting for. Isaac Vining on the piano. I'm falling in slow motion, can't keep me from going. I'm falling in slow motion, can't keep me from going. 'Cause to fall it all is to fall in love with you. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Was it worth the wait? Okay, good. We've got one more song for you. This is our song that's coming out next. It's called My Mess. It's kind of fun, kind of sassy. He's not wrong. Okay. Now I understand why singers have people hold guitars and hand them to them. All right. People used to say we go to the woods and try to find ourselves, but I'd rather put my feelings aside and up on the shelf, like there's nothing to escape. And my sanity was thin like the lies you told me. Nothing easy to digest, but don't call me lonely. I won't say it to your face, 'cause there's nothing I'm running from. Honey, I don't put up a front. Don't make me out like a damsel in distress. I can find my way out of my mess. And they used to tell you how you could find somebody, like somebody's gonna change your whole life and calling. But must have been hard built a fire in my heart to address those problems. And so much. That's that. That was the thing.
I'm not good at this. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming to see Kristen Bales. Give me like 5 or 10 minutes to reset so we can do the interview portion. And see you then.
So you can see a little telly. She's really great for photo ops.
Okay. All right, I'm going to try my best on these stools now.
I know, I feel.
I don't really need to open this. Okay, so everybody first, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. Always a good time hanging with the dogs. So first, let's give it up for Kristen Bales one more time. Really great performance.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much for coming down. I think first things first, I'll go ahead and talk about Indie String Theory, letting us come for a second time. Thanks a bunch. This is actually the first public show. The last one was private, so this is a whole lot of fun to be able to have all you guys here with us. Indie String Theory down in Fountain Square, guitar shop. Go fix your guitar. If you want the real musicians to fix your guitar and get it right, they're the people to talk to. Second, they sell a lot of artisan guitars that are made in Indy with Indiana trees and Indiana wood, as well as a pedal station over on this other side behind the camera that you can't see. And lots of strings, and now they're upgrading into doing a little bit more audio equipment. So I'd say come down here and see what they're talking about. Everybody who knows something is coming here. All right. Thanks to the homies for letting us be here one more time. And I think we'll go ahead and start talking about Kristen Bales.
Okay.
So,
Let's do it.
I guess first things first, how did you get into playing music at all? Because you've got quite a bit of time on this project.
Yes.
Yeah. I started playing music when I was in 8th grade. I actually wanted to be a guitar player. And I saved up a lot of money and bought the most cost-efficient electric guitar that I could. And I went to my guitar teacher, who at the time was just whoever was local, that started teaching me. But what I didn't realize is that he was a jazz guitarist. And he heavily influenced not only my music, but my love for jazz, my love for playing things like Standards by Wes Montgomery, and then all sorts of Chick Corea, things like that, that originally I didn't appreciate at all. I was actually really frustrated when I started, as I think anyone would be starting with jazz music. I was like, this is crazy, I can't do any of this. But eventually he encouraged me to write songs. And so that process combined with all the knowledge that he was pouring into me really led me to start being inspired to carry on that flame that he just kind of ignited with playing. So yeah.
Very cool. So now that, I mean, you happen to kind of start in jazz, but are there any other artists that you were kind of interested in that inspired you to really want to play music?
Yes. Several artists that I still listen to today, but I think that as a creative, when you're feeding your minds all the things that you love, all the music that you love, all of the books you love and all things like that, it's like feeding that story monster, feeding that creative monster that will eventually just overflow into what you're making. So I love Lake Street Dive. Rachel is my hero. And I also love, I don't know if you know them, but Sammy Ray and the Friends. I know they're kind of newer, but they're amazing too. Just female-fronted bands who dig into these kind of that old school standard feel, but then also bring a little bit of contemporary edge to it. Yeah.
Is there a perspective that you feel they bring
that other groups may not, since you mentioned female fronted.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know,
For sure.
I mean, I would
yeah.
assume, but I just want to hear you
Absolutely.
talk about that
Yeah, I
perspective.
think especially because I had listened to so many male musicians, guitar players specifically, and like singers too. You know, when I was in 8th grade, I was into like My Chemical Romance and Mayday Parade,
Yeah.
and I still love them. Like they're still amazing. But when I really started listening to a female lead singer, I don't know. I felt like writing from your experience and my personal experience, I could resonate a lot more with, for obvious reasons, but also just like the depth of storytelling and the depth of emotion and all that good stuff was really monumental for me. Yeah.
Now, do you have a lot of creatives tend to have lots of outlets? So they may do music, but they also have other things that they like doing. So do you have any other projects or things that you do outside of this kind of creative endeavor?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I've been really focused on those recently. So I think that sometimes when I get into this mode of only producing one thing, whether it's music, whether it's writing, whether it's even just pouring into my teaching, I can get really closed off, really, what's the word for it? One track minded, right? Where I don't see those ideas that are outside of the box, or I don't feel like I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone. So I do poetry. Actually did my first poetry reading, which was wild, a few weeks ago. That
Shout
was
out.
incredible. Thank you. And I am looking for poets because I was recruited to do this festival in the fall, and they were looking for more poets, and I said, I'm totally new to this. I don't know anybody. So if anybody's listening to this and they're a poet, please direct message me, because I would love to, first of all, read your poetry, but also come read some poetry with me.
Oh, that's always fun. I mean, but if you're a singer-songwriter, like, it's a very clear kind of connection for why you might end up being into that as well. Is there anything else other than poetry that you like getting into?
Yes, I write. I write short stories. I write books. I also am an avid gardener. I love houseplants, but I also love gardening too. I just planted a blueberry plant. I was really, really excited
Shout out
about
to the
it. It's
blueberry
still alive. I don't know what I'm doing with it, but it's living.
You're doing better than 90% of most people. Where I live, it's nothing but concrete. So shout out to you for having a garden. Um, okay, cool. So obviously you've been doing this and recording your own music for quite a while. So what was the jump to actually start recording your own stuff?
Yeah, this is a really fun story that I love to share. So when I was in high school, I was really into this local band. They're called Seabird, and I'm sure nobody knows who they are, and that's totally fine. But I knew who they were, and they were heroes in my mind. And they had a studio in Cincinnati, and their bass player had actually reached out to me. I don't even know why, now that I'm thinking back on it, because I was playing locally. I was playing in some jazz shows, but I wasn't playing a lot of my music other than in coffee shops. So I don't remember where that connection came from, but he encouraged me to record in their studio. It's called Iron Wing Studios. It's still in Cincinnati. I love Cincinnati. That's where I grew up. And I ended up recording my first EP there. It was really rough, as any time you do something for the first time, it's gonna be rough, unless you're just a prodigy. But I recorded it there, and I remember having this moment the last day I was driving back, and I was kind of driving back on this back road, listening to their music, because why not? And the lyric said, "Sing until your heart hurts, sing some more, don't stop singing until you see the shore." And it was just this really pivotal moment, like, what am I doing? Recording with one of my absolute favorite bands at that time, and just getting this opportunity that shouldn't have happened at all. So it felt really, really special.
That's cool, man. So I guess with that, we'll go into some of your own releases that I know. And you've actually, at a point you were recording under Kristen Bennett.
Yep, that's my maiden name.
Yeah, and now you're under Bales. So I guess I'll mention that is with Into Forever. And I actually had to ask your husband. I was like, "What color are your eyes?" because there's a lyric in there where you're like, "I gotta settle into the sweet baby blues." And I was like, "This might be really awkward if I gotta ask that question." But how did you, I guess, kind of start with Into Forever? How did you start that process for that?
Yeah, that's a story too. So, Enta Forever, I always love writing love songs, but a few years ago, I want to say 2019, my sister-in-law was about to get engaged, and her almost fiance texted me and said, "Hey, we're coming to your show on Saturday night, the night that we get engaged." And I was like, that's a lot of pressure. And I felt the need to just give them something and at least acknowledge them in a way that felt really special. So for weeks and weeks, I tried to write a song, and it didn't work. I was sitting with my guitar, and I thought of all these really cheesy, corny love songs that were not landing at all. And the week before, it had to be at least 4 or 5 days before, I was sitting at work with my guitar, and Marshall was there too, but he was in a different room, and I was like, what if I just write this song about my love story and then just kind of like put their love story in there somewhere? And that's what I did, and it all just came out at once. And so we played it for them that night, and then we actually ended up playing it as their first dance song live at their wedding,
cool,
which
man.
was, yeah, it was really special.
Now, the theme of that song seems to be like you want to get that time back from other people that you might have spent and wished you could have spent it on that special someone. Am I correct in that? Is that what you were going for there?
Yes. Yeah. To quote the great Taylor Swift, "Have I known you 20 seconds or forever?" That's kind of where I started at. And I was thinking about when you meet someone that you really click with, like I remember when I met Marshall and we were listening to Taylor Swift, which I'm so sorry, but it was 1989. That's when it came out, when we met each other. And it just felt so genuine. Like we've been sitting in the car listening to Taylor Swift forever together.
Shout out to the Swifties, man. So I guess, and you have a couple other singles that are out now, at least on Spotify, and so I'm just gonna ask about some of them because I was listening and I'd be curious. So you have a song called "Therapy," which you didn't play tonight, so go check that out if you don't.
Please do.
But you kind of have this thing of you were with a person at a certain point, and now you're trying to get over them and get past this time. So you kind of talked about you left a part of you with me, whether you like it or not. I guess I'd like you to go into that with where they kind of sit or why they kind of sit. Seems like it was a little painful, obviously.
Yes. So therapy is actually about me leaving a part of my past self behind. And when, like, you left a part with me, whether you like it or not, I was visualizing myself looking in the mirror like, I'm still the same person, but I'm not the same person. And so I love talking about this song, and I always say that when I moved back from Nashville, I felt like I needed to go to therapy, but then I didn't go to therapy, and I started to write music. But I'm actually starting therapy this weekend.
Oh, shout out, man.
For the first time. Guys are going to make me cry. For the first time ever, I get to say that and then actually mean it, that I not only am leaving a part of myself that felt very, really boxed in. When I first graduated and moved down and started working in the music industry, I was a booking agent, and I was pushing out all of these creative endeavors that I loved, including writing my own music, to do what I thought was the right thing, right? Like, this is going to give me all the connections in the music industry. This is going to further my career. This is everything that I went to school for. And guess what? It was none of those things, which I think that journey is different for everyone. But for me, it ended up just being a really toxic place And so when I moved back to Indianapolis after I lived there for a little while and started writing songs again for the first time in a really long time, songs that I could work on that weren't other people's music, which there's nothing wrong with pouring into somebody else's music or creativity, but when it's starting to drain you, Julia Cameron talks about having this shadow self of you're always working for somebody else's creativeness or greatness, but really you want to work on what you love.
Of course.
So yeah, that's what the song's about.
Cool. Well, I guess speaking of moving, I feel like you've played a lot of music in a lot of different places over quite a period of time. So how do you think that's affected your writing style and kind of your sound now? Because your sound has definitely changed from when you first started to now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think that the space that you make music in, for me, especially when I write music, is really influential. When I first moved back, I actually lived in my friend's basement. It was my producer and his wife. I lived in their basement. And so I felt like the sound that I was going for was really commercial. And I don't know if I was just, because I was just around that all the time, even though I wasn't recording 24/7 or anything like that. That's what I was going for. And then when I moved into our next place, we were in this really tiny apartment, and we just filled the entire thing with instruments. And I'm a firm believer in if you like surround yourself with things that you love, right, that starts to become an inspiration in itself. And so even though I've played on a lot of different stages, I think the safe space where I write is honestly the most influential of them all, because it feels like I can be not just a performer, not just an entertainer, which I love doing all of those things, but a creator and able to dig into those sides of me that I might have left behind to do for other things. So, yeah.
So do you have a certain writing process, especially since, you have a band that you work with kind of the same typical members? So how does that work when you might start a song by yourself and then maybe bring it to them to do something?
Yeah, my process, it varies from song to song, but for the most part, I do music first and then the lyrics. I like to hear the vibe of the song, where it's going, what it feels like in the music, and I think that just comes from my background of being a guitarist first, and then pouring into what direction the song's going in. So I'll start with a riff, or I'll start with a little chord progression, and then after I've got pretty much the whole song is when I'll go in and I'll do the verses. And maybe this is why I'm into poetry, I really like phrasing and even phrasing, meter that feels really catchy, but also is easy to kind of insert words into. And I'll turn back to like a journal, anything that I've been writing. I'm kind of crazy with the Notes app on my phone, so like I also, my ADD is like in my Notes app. You can see every single random idea I have throughout the day, and I'll go through and I'll sort through them, and I'll be like, okay, what am I thinking about this week? What can I write about? And then I sit and write the song just on guitar usually. And then after a few writes and rewrites, just like I would any other piece of work, I'll take it to my band. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shoot. Now, I've seen in different videos that you will play the guitar, and I've seen you play the keyboard and different ones. So how many instruments do you play?
Everything but drums.
Okay.
I tried once. It was awful.
It's different.
I wrote what I thought was a really cool floor tom part, and I was like, yeah, this is so cool. Back when Imagine Dragons was a thing, I was like, this is awesome. No, it wasn't. I was terrible.
Interesting. So when you're recording a lot of your stuff, do you decide I'm going to play this part, or do you let other band members play that part when you're recording?
Yeah, everybody in my band plays the parts. I just do the vocals. I like to focus on what I feel like is my most confident instrument, which is my voice. And so I'll sit and I'll be there the whole time though, which is great. But I think right now, it's been so many years of recording that now I feel like I'm with musicians that not only I can trust, but also are at the top of their game. Not to brag on them, but to brag on them. They're amazing, and I love them, and I trust them with my music. And so when we get into the studio and I hear a guitar riff or a piano part that really, like, it actually gives me goosebumps. I'm like, yes, this is what I heard in my head. How did you know?
Yeah, that's cool. Well, okay, so let's talk about another song then. You have West Coast. And I'm still trying to figure out exactly what's going on in that song because sometimes it seems like you're talking to 11 and you're like, I'm about to move to the West Coast, but you don't want to come, so I'm just going to go. Then other times it seems like it's not about that entirely, and it's like a relationship with yourself. So what's going on in West Coast?
So West Coast is just a story. It was inspired by a poem that I wrote, and I wanted to tell a story song, and so I took this poem, which I don't have memorized. I wish I would, but memorize it. But it's online and it's published, which is really cool. But the whole song was inspired by this vision of this wonderful independent woman, just like, why do I need anybody else? I'm just gonna go wherever I want. So that's really all the song's about.
Well, okay, so then there's a line in there where you're always talking about they say it's give or take, but you always take the truth. So what does that mean in regards of this story that you're telling me now?
Yeah, that line specifically, I guess that probably is pulled a little bit more from my personal experience, just being in the middle of a really, really big cobweb of lies, which I'm sure we've all experienced at some point, like, well, wait, what's actually real, what's actually not real? And so I think that sometimes that line, they say that it's give or take, but you always take the truth. If you think about how much you can give to a person to the point where you're maybe fraying those boundaries that you have and giving them too much when it's all been a lie. So.
Well, when do you decide too much is too much?
I don't know. I feel like I have a short fuse, so I think that when it becomes toxic, like when you start changing your habits, when you feel like you're losing things that you really care about. Yeah.
Well, you've got another line in there where you're saying they'd never make the move. So is that still kind of related to like this independent woman talking to someone and they don't want to go, or what's going on there?
Yeah, so that part was a vision of somebody just like willing another person to give, like thinking of a broken relationship, like I need more from you, but then they're talking to a brick wall, right? And I guess give or take, but you always take the truth kind of lands there too. It's like when you give so much to someone, but then it's not a two-way street at all. So, yeah.
Oh, man. Let me see.
You're really digging in.
Yeah, I mean, I dug into some older stuff, and I'm trying to decide which ones I'm going to be able to ask about.
Go for it.
Let's see. All right, so there's an older song called In Your Dreams, and you say it's been quite some time since you were out of line, but you wasted all those second chances. And so I was wondering, what was the final straw, since it seemed like they were doing good, but at some point you were like, that's enough.
Yeah. That song is actually about a record label executive that I had a meeting with in New York. So that one was really, that was interesting. So we had made this trip. I think I was right out of college. It was 2014 or 2015. And we went all the way to New York, and we were on Wall Street, and I was like, whoa, we're in New York City. Somebody asked me to meet them here about my music. And, we get in this guy's office, and he's super jazzed about all these songs and gives me the wonderful spiel. And it just felt really disingenuine to the point where I was like, I can't do this. This is bad. So I gave him this lovely song instead.
Interesting. I feel like I read another question about that one. No, it was just what was the final straw. Okay, disingenuous. That's fine. Um, let me see. But they're so put together, but only on the surface. That's what it was. Yeah. So what were some of the things that I guess in this case were bothering you that seemed disingenuous from this exec?
Um. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get you sued.
No, it's okay. I'm positive this person does not listen to any of my music, which is great because, what better way to write a song for someone when you think they're never going to hear it. But I think that the biggest thing was feeling like I had spent all this money to get there and taken time aside, which also we played a show that weekend. That was one of the best shows that I've ever played in New York, which usually bands don't have good shows in New York City.
Yeah,
and it was just this really magical moment where I was like, whoa, what's happening? And this person, of course, was not there, was not involved. And I felt like it was really transactional, just the topics that we had talked about, if you do this, this, and this, and then, pay this much money for these gigs that you'll sing in front of people for, then maybe we'll sign you. And there's a lot that goes on in the music business that I'm sure a lot of musicians know of, that it's like, okay, well, that's great, but when can I start just creating to create and not make stuff so that people will listen to me or people will listen to your label? Yeah.
Definitely never pay to play a show.
No.
That's something that I know for sure. Okay, then cool. I'll ask about one question or song that you played today that I hadn't heard, which was Daydreamers. And you said you wrote it as encouragement to yourself. And I feel like when people ask for or like need encouragement, their mindset might not have been in the brightest place. So where were you when you were writing that song?
I was really burnt out. I felt like everything that I was writing, which I get in these moods a lot, was all the same and didn't really mean anything, and felt like every lyric that I came up with was repetitive, not original. I mean, nothing is original, but it just felt really stale. And I was always, when I was younger, a really big daydreamer. I would sit in class and I would finish my work, and then I would sit and I would write on the back of my homework like a story. And I would do that. I literally have a stack of pages that I found last year. I was looking at them and I was sorting through them and I was like, whoa, this is actually really cool. Like little tiny comics and things like that. And so I just sat down and I broke down and I cried. I was like, who is this person that I used to be? And why can't I be this creative right now, right? And so I wrote that song as an encouragement that, like, regardless of what dream you have, that dream is important. And it's there for a reason. Yeah.
Well, so I assume that you've got some sort of, speaking of songs that kind of I haven't heard or might not be released yet, I assume you've got some album on the way or some EP on the way. What kind of sounds are you looking to put on this new project?
So we want it to feel, have those jazz roots that I love so much, but also this really fun, like a Lake Street Dive mixed with Lawrence. I don't know if you know Lawrence, the band Lawrence. I love them.
The city, the town, 30 minutes from here.
So this is a band, they're called Lawrence. They were really big on TikTok last year, but they're incredible, and they've got a really great brass section. The two lead singers are brother and sister, super dynamic vocalists. They're just so fun. And I wanted to make a record that I was like, you know what? This will be fun to play in front of people. Like, I'm not just going to be trying to barrel through the songs and wait until they're over, but like actually have fun with my band on stage, which is amazing to do. And so that's the intentionality behind the songs. Like, what can I write that uses all this jazzy stuff, but also is like just fun to play?
Yeah. Do you have any idea when you're planning, like, drop a new project, or when can we expect that? Yeah,
so I just got the master back for the next single we're gonna release. That was My Mess, which we played tonight. Gotcha. And I'm so excited to release it. But that will be out next month.
Okay.
And then Slow Motion, the goal is to have that out this summer. and then we're recording about 2 or 3 more songs. And so all those singles that have been released, so West Coast is out, End of Forever, Therapy we're going to put on there as well, and then the 4 other songs are going to go all together on a 7-song LP. So,
Cool.
yeah.
So maybe around fall?
I hope so. That's the goal.
That's super cool.
Thank you.
Well, I guess before I close out, does anyone in here have any questions that they'd like to ask her before I just end all things? All right. Nobody's going to poke the bear. That's cool.
This is my band's chance to literally ask me anything they want.
Right.
They know too much, I feel like. They don't care.
I guess.
What's my favorite guitar? My Les Paul Studio.
Why?
It's actually not mine. It's actually Marshall's. I used to have a Les Paul Studio, and then I married into a Les Paul Studio, and I the face he's making right now, and I love it. I remember when I saved up for mine, and it was like the cheapest one you could get, right, with the mahogany wood, and like it was. I got it my junior year of high school, and I had saved since 8th grade, and I played that thing until I broke the neck, and you know what?
Tough, dude.
Then I couldn't play it anymore because I didn't live by indie string theory, and I didn't know anybody who could fix it, and so then I
Indie
didn't play
string
anymore.
saves lives and dreams. Keep the dream alive. Does anybody else have a question? Shout out to Quinn. Shout out to Quinn. There he is. All right. All right. Cool. Seems like we're good. Well, everybody, thanks for coming to the show. Let's clap
Thank
one more
you so
time.
much.